Do you know that one of the most common questions I get asked as a birth doula is, what positions should I give birth in during my labor and birth? It is the most common question ever. Um, and what was really surprising was a few weeks ago, I was at a weekend event, and this wonderful, lovely woman came up to me and she said, "Oh my gosh, you're a birth doula. I've got a question for you." I said, yeah, yeah. What's your question? And she said, "Me and my husband, we haven't got any kids yet, and we don't have any plans to have any kids yet. But can I ask you a question?" I'm like, yeah, sure, ask away. She said, "It might be a really silly question." I said, "No, there are no silly questions." She said, "When I do get pregnant, what position should I be in during my labor and birth?" And it really struck me that they weren't even planning yet to have a baby, and already that question was in her mind. And I was scrolling Instagram last night, and the amount of videos I saw for positions in labor, we've got to do this and do that. I'm sure you've seen it, the whole knees in, knees out. So knees out in the first part of labor to allow baby into your pelvis, and knees together, ankles out in the second stage of labor when you're bringing baby down the birth canal. And you know, I first heard of that about, gosh, it must be about 11 years ago. I was in a fairly new doula, and I went to a talk given by this really wonderful, inspiring obstetrician, baby doctor, birth doctor, um, black obstetrician, first I've ever met, so I was like even more proud. And she was a woman. Her name was Dr. Gloria, and she gave a talk, and she called her talk and her business the art of birth. And she spoke a lot about these positions, the same thing about, how in the first part of labor, it's helpful to have your knees apart to allow baby to come into the pelvic inlet, and then the reverse, so knees closer together and ankles out to allow baby out. It has an effect on your pelvic floor. And I thought, oh my gosh, as a new doula, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. I cannot wait to unleash this wisdom on my next birth client, because this is going to be an absolute game changer. I mean, a little clue here. How on earth did we ever give birth before we knew this stuff? So yeah, I'm seeing all over the internet now. At the time, Dr. Gloria, people weren't really listening to her and to her science, and what she was talking about with the knees in, knees out, and the pelvic floor. But now I see people that aren't black are talking about it, and it's all being like hype, 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 and everyone's about the knees in, knees out. So when it came to my next birth, after listening to the wonderful Dr. Gloria, I thought, yeah, okay, let's unleash this this wisdom. Do you know, I couldn't for the life of me remember what it was. Was it knees in, knees out, ankles in, ankles out? At what stage is it knees in, knees out, ankles in, ankles out? I just couldn't remember. And I think for the vast majority of you who are consuming all this information on Instagram and Lord knows where else, you're not going to remember either. So I'm not here to kind of debunk it. This is good science here. I know that. But what I want to say to you today is that no amount of scrolling and learning all of these hacks and tips and all that stuff is going to impact your birth unless you have the kind of 4 or 5 pillars that I want to speak to you about now. But the stuff that I have seen is more important than having knowledge of knees in, knees out, ankles in, ankles out. Because guess what? When it comes to labor and birth, you will move instinctively. Okay? Birth is like a dance. I call it a dance with you and your baby. As your baby moves a little bit, you're going to move a little bit. Then your baby moves again. and then you move. And it's just like that. So when I see women birthing and they get up on their tippy toes, and it's nearly always happens, up on the tippy toes, holding onto the back of a chair, and they're swaying their hips left and right, and they're circling. No one had to teach them that. It's their instincts. Their baby's moving one way and they're moving another way to release that baby and help them to come down. You cannot really teach that stuff. Yes, we can teach you to stay off your back, assume more upright positions. But when it comes to movement and releasing your baby and birthing your baby, that can't be taught. Please, please, if you listen to nothing else, please listen to this and please believe that you will move instinctively to release your baby and to allow them out. If only you have trust in yourself, trust in your body, trust in your baby. And that's what the first pillar I want to talk about. To enable your birth to unfold more smoothly, it really helps if you have trust. As I said, trust in your body, trust in your abilities to birth your baby, trust in your baby that they know the best way to come out of your body. Trust in your partner or your birth partner, whoever's there at your birth. Trust in your medical team. And I know as Black moms, it can be hard to have trust in our medical team. But we can build some kind of trust in over time by being strong advocates for ourselves, by letting them know, actually, I expect a certain level of care and I won't accept anything less. Okay, but be trying to work with your team. If you're having a team at your birth, another pillar is being as healthy as you can, or whatever that means to you. For some people that means having a kale smoothie for breakfast and a kale smoothie for lunch and a kale smoothie for dinner. But if that's not you, being healthy in the way that kind of suits you. So whether it's eating healthily as you can, so that does mean getting some fruit and veggies and fiber into your diet and nutrient dense foods into your diet. I know it's hard. We're time short, we're money short, but doing the best we can. That's not to say that it's every meal, but doing the best we can. Movement is a huge one, and I'm not talking knees in, knees out here. Move our bodies, right? We can best prepare for a smoother labor by having a level of fitness. And again, it's not about running marathons at this stage. It's not about knocking yourself out of the gym. Of course, if you were used to running marathons before you got pregnant, or used to gymming before you got pregnant, then carry on until you feel that you need to stop, if you do need to stop. But move your body more, and that could just mean going for a walk. I'm not talking about expensive gym memberships here. A daily walk, if you can fit that in, make time for it. It's going to pay off. I promise you, I can't promise you many things in life, but I promise you that if you get to move your body more in pregnancy, whether that be going for a walk, um, whether that be going for a ride, whether that be going to pregnancy yoga classes, and that's the one I really, really highly recommend. If you can get to a pregnancy yoga class or even do online pregnancy yoga classes, oh man, that's going to really help to unlock that baby and unlock that birth and get that baby out. So if you can do that, do that. Um, I also strongly believe, and I will as a hypnobirthing instructor, I do believe that hypnobirthing techniques, or at least working on your mindset, is really important as well. So having a more positive outlook on your birth, learning how to manage labor is important as well. I'm not talking about, doing away with the sensations or pain that you feel in labor. I'm talking about learning how to manage it is really crucial. I was doing a one-to-one with one of you mamas gosh, a few days ago now, this week, and we were working on some hypnobirthing techniques now one-to-one. So if you want to do some one-to-one sessions with me and we can cover things more in depth like hypnobirthing, then just drop me a line and we can get that arranged for you. But working on your mindset, having a more positive outlook for your birth really does help. We say that birth starts in the mind, and where the mind leads, oftentimes the body follows. So having that really positive mindset really works. Knowledge. Knowledge is really important as well. So knowing what's happening in your body during your labor really helps to kind of settle nerves and manage any kind of anxieties, because when things happen, a certain sensations we feel, it can like literally have us clenching, literally have us holding our babies in. So having some prior knowledge about what's happening during birth really helps. And I include that on my hypnobirthing course. If you're interested, or just read a bit more about birth. I do strongly recommend the Midwife Marley book. You may have read in the course that I mention that quite often. So do, if you can, get hold of the Midwife Marley book, Midwife Marley Birth, Pregnancy and Postpartum Book for Everyone, I think she calls it. And think about journaling. If you're the kind of person who maybe is feeling a bit anxious about your upcoming birth or having some anxiety during your pregnancy, think about doing some journaling, writing down and getting those things out of your head. It really helps. It really, really helps. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can just be a notebook. Okay. So that's my kind of pearls of wisdom for now. As you can see, I've called it substance over hype. Okay. Because a lot of the stuff we see online, see on Instagram and other social media platforms, it's a lot of hype. But when it comes to your labor, honestly, not a lot of people, in my experience, remember all that stuff. Knees out, knees in, out, ankles in, grab my birth comb, grab my this, grab my that. It's not always remembered, but you will always have your knowledge. Yeah, if you have some knowledge, you'll always have the mindset. If you work on the mindset, you'll always have that trust in your partner, yourself, okay, at least, and hopefully your team, because you've built that over time, okay? Those you won't kind of leave at home, forget, you'll always have that about you. Any questions about what I've just discussed, drop me a line, drop me a DM, but I hope you found that helpful. Take care.